What's up? What's up? How's
Hello,
everybody
hello,
doing?
hello.
This is different, but I think I like
Th-
it.
This is different. As you can see, we are not in studio, nor are we at my house. Where are
Yes. Not in
you?
studio and two different locations. I am in that middle den area. The bar is behind me.
Oh,
So that's
okay,
why
so
I've
you're
got
at
my little
home.
I'm at
I
home.
am in Cali. Yeah,
Ah,
and I'm in my
Northern,
baby daddy
Southern,
house,
Central.
San Diego County.
San Diego. Nice, nice, nice. Let
I
me
don't know
turn my
why you
volume
always
down
put an
here.
A in there. That's the craziest thing.
Because it's fun. That's why. 'Cause it's fun.
I haven't seen you in so long. How you doing, friend?
It's been like a week.
It's been like a week and a half. Maybe even
Has it been that
2 weeks. I
long?
don't think I don't think
No, it
we've
hasn't
seen
been
each
two
other
weeks.
since the last live show
Right, which was what the
two
week
weeks
of
ago. Two
Been
weeks
2 weeks.
ago. Our show is
Today's
every
only
week. We didn't do one
the.
last week. Are you? How do you not see this?
I don't think it's been 2 weeks. In
It's
any
been
event,
2 weeks. Okay,
it's been a busy day. I'm tired.
it has been. It has
Your
been.
favorite client wore me out.
Boy, listen. I told you that even though you told him no action needed to be taken for 6 months, that he was going to call. Now I thought it
60
would
days.
be
60
I
days.
thought it would
Yes.
be 2 or 3 days, but nope, he called me bright and early this morning.
But no, the hearing was today. I told him that today, this morning.
Oh, I talked to him today.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's
That's
so
it.
that so you got a drinky drink.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yes. It's the adult
I
beverage.
I just have iced coffee. Same thing for me
Yeah. No,
though.
I need.
Caffeine and
I need
sugar.
an adult beverage after the day I had. All right. Let's go ahead and jump on in to
I am gonna
gossip.
ask. I'm gonna ask everybody to take it easy on me. You know, I like my outline printed, but the printer has a stripe running through it, and it printed a couple lines double. So I might have to refer to
Oh,
my outline on the computer. I just want to
so you'll be
apologize in
telling.
advance.
So you're gonna be saying things twice,
Maybe,
like the little.
maybe.
All right. All right. Well, we'll give you a pass. We'll give you a pass. Have you heard of the app Turo? Turo.
No, what is that?
Okay. Turo is an app that is similar to Airbnb, um, where Airbnb you can rent out your home to strangers. Turo will allow you to rent out your car, your actual personal vehicle. So in a day and age where you can rent out, your car, your house, pools. I heard there's the one for pools. If you got a really nice pool, you might want to look into
Wait,
that.
you can rent
They
out your
now have
pool?
one. Yep, I heard. I
Do
heard
I have
that.
to
I
leave
heard
my
that.
backyard? Do I have to leave my backyard if they rent my pool?
That I think that would depend on the terms and conditions of the rental agreement.
Because as long as I can stay in my backyard and smoke my jazz cabbage, I'm happy.
So Turo is a new app where you can rent out your vehicles, and there's a Las Vegas couple that is doing so well that they have quit their jobs and they are doing
Come
this
on.
full time.
What
Yeah,
do they
listen,
have? The
listen,
Batmobile?
listen. It sounds like they got a fleet of cars now. Linda Hako, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and Christopher Thompson both quit their jobs because the car rentals were going through the roof, and they can barely keep up because they have to wash the cars, and I guess you deliver the car to the renter, and then they return it. And so they said it's been great. The couple say that they're in the process of buying another vehicle to add to their fleet and in the process of hiring two people that are going to act as car washers and deliverers. So,
Oh, they should just
I
hire
mean,
their
it,
kids.
it sounds like it's going well. Maybe they don't have kids, and maybe you don't want your kids driving your car to
Not
deliver
driving,
the
but
car to
washing for sure. Because
to
then they can start on
people
their
you don't know.
retirement fund. I
Yeah,
get this.
you just
Okay.
so you wouldn't do it? You don't like that idea?
I am not a big car person, So my car looks like a mom car. It's just like a big vehicle, and I have like I'm sure there's French fries like down the side of the seat. So I can't imagine renting out my car or that anybody would want. Maybe to move some furniture or haul a
That's
team.
what I was going to say. See, I think you're thinking that people would only want to rent a car just for, a night out in town. Listen, maybe they want to move some stuff, but they're like, I don't need a U-Haul. Let me rent out an SUV. You know what I mean? And so I think it's a cool idea. Um,
I
me
can,
personally,
I would rent
I'd
your
be a little
car.
leery. I'd be a little leery. The couple did report they had one car that was stolen, one that was totaled. Although they did say through the app, they filled out the paperwork through Turo, and Turo paid them out for the vehicle. So I don't know. It sounds like it might be, something to look into. You got it. If you got some vehicles or you got some extra cash, you can buy a vehicle. Especially nowadays, there's a rental car shortage, and so rental car prices are ridiculous. So now would be the time to jump into it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't have enough disposable cash to just buy a couple cars. Nor do I have enough ambition, drive, or not motivation. Money's good motivation, but all that
I
other
guess
stuff
good
you need to
motivation.
make an independent business work. Yeah, me, I'm not the entrepreneur type. I'm the build you up, help. Yeah,
You'd be the car washer.
yeah, or the runner.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, you got to know your lane, and you're saying that you know your lane.
I
Nothing wrong
know
with
my
that.
lane well.
Nothing wrong with that. Moving on.
Is that you or me?
That's you.
It can't be. I'm not moving anything.
Not funny. Terrible. Terrible.
Okay.
Moving on. Pharrell Williams plans to open private schools for students from low-income households.
How cool is this? We're always talking about be the change.
Yes.
Here's a perfect example. So, Grammy-winning Pharrell is giving back to his community in a big way. He
How
is
so?
opening. He's opening the first of a series of schools in Virginia. I think I read that Virginia has a pretty bad school system, but I don't talk crap about anybody's school system because I came out of Nevada school system. So,
Because you live in Nevada.
right. Okay, so the quote he put, I have to look up on my thingy. It says, if the system is fixed and unfair, then it needs to be broken. We don't want a
Mm.
lockstep learning where so many kids fall behind. We want bespoke learning designed for each child, where the things that make the child different are the same things that make a child rise up and take flight. And it's funny coming from a guy that's like Pharrell, because he's not the most masculine fella, but he seems very sensitive and very artsy. That it can't have been
Right.
easy growing up that way as a black man
Right. Right.
or in the
Well,
music industry
I think that's
because he
what makes
doesn't
it,
fit stereotypes.
and I think that's what makes it perfect, right? That it's coming from someone like Pharrell, someone that, like you said, doesn't fit stereotypes and probably did learn a little differently than others. One thing that I've kind of, realized as I've gotten older and interacted with different people, some very intelligent people, is that we all see the world differently, and that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? And that's what makes geniuses, is that they can look at something and see it and interpret it in a totally different way.
And
And
to have
you
and to
know,
encourage a school system that looks at those differences
right?
instead of trying
And
to make little
encourages it.
cookie cutters. Right,
Right.
right.
Instead of encouraging you to conform and fall into the box, I can say, okay, Johnny, let's try it your way. Let's
But
go down that road and
tell
see
me
where
where
it
you're
takes
going with
us.
it. So
Exactly.
the
That's
first
cool.
school is going to focus on 40 to 50 students in grade 3 through 5 with a goal to expand on the equity-focused nonprofit's decade of experience running summer programs for its students.
Wow. That sounds like a mouthful.
But
It
40 to
sounds
50
like,
students in that many grades, that's a small class size. That's nice.
yeah, and
I
and
wish
and
we
what
could
yeah,
get
what that
small class
means
sizes
is,
for my kid.
Yeah, that means you can get, some focused, education and tutelage, and that's good. Good for him, man. Like those are stories that I love are celebrities that aren't just trying to just donate, throw money at problems, but they're actually trying to be part of the process.
Of the
They're trying
solution.
to, yeah, like they, you know what I mean? Like they want actually want to sit down, be involved, and help create a difference instead of just writing a check and say, okay, someone else do it. Willing to
Right.
roll their
And
sleeves up and be part of the process. That's dope.
and the other thing I like about the program is that it's not just a STEM program, it's a STEAM program, which includes the arts.
Mm.
So science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
Very cool. Very
Isn't
cool.
that cool?
I like that. I like that.
Yay!
Good job, Pharrell. Good job.
Guess what I went and saw a couple days ago, this weekend?
No clue.
I went and saw Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh, how was it? I haven't seen it yet.
It
And
was fan-freaking-tastic. First of all, Simu Liu is hot.
okay.
Hot. Listen,
I don't know who that is, but I'll take your word
he's
for
the
it.
main guy. He's the main guy. He plays
Okay.
Sean in the movie. So, or Shang, however you want to say it. But
Sean.
no, I just love it because they're finding hotter and hotter Asian guys. They're gonna have to leave this myth behind that the Asian guy is all demasculated and subservient and quiet and too polite. Because the muscles on this man.
Well, China's helping with that, but that's a different story.
What'd you say?
I said China is trying to help with that, but that's a different story.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that story because I'm not going to say I have an Asian fetish because that's not the right thing to say. But I'm attracted to Asian men, along with everybody else.
No, this isn't a good thing.
Oh, then
I read a story that China, their communist government has basically told or has put out a mandate that they want non-traditional. They want news. They want TV shows and news broadcasts to steer away from showing men that don't have a traditional aesthetic, i.e., the more effeminate men and things like that. Yeah, I was like, wow. Yes.
Okay, they're trying
So what
to
that
put him back
means
in the
is,
closet. They trying to put him back in the closet. They're gonna have a coup, and it's gonna be a rainbow coup.
China is the Texas of the Eastern Bloc. That's what that means.
That is funny and so true. It's so true. Anyway, I don't really care about the numbers, but one thing I did note was that this movie broke the box office records for Labor Day weekend. And they didn't expect it to do that well because they did not advertise it. There was no big push. There was a way bigger push on Black Widow, and she didn't make as well. That's because they've released it on Disney Plus, but and she's got to go through that whole rigmarole. They screwed all those people too, but
yeah.
But can you imagine how much this cast should be making? That is going to set the stage or set the level for how much people of color have to be paid for future action films. That makes me very excited.
Right. I mean, because you got to remember, the other Marvel movie that had a person of color at the helm, Black Panther, set records when it was running. So again, so you've got two Marvel movies with people of color at the helm, and
that do very well.
Record setting.
Very well. Yeah. And I'm hoping that's not the last we see him because it was a really good story. And then I'm not really sure Awkwafina's role. It was good.
Oh, she was in it.
Yeah, so the other thing that drives me crazy about Asian films, I feel, is that they are less affectionate than Western standards. So while I'm like, okay, now he's gonna kiss her, they just like embrace and just hug, and I'm like, oh.
Now here's a question about that though. Do you think that is stereotypical, or is that coming from the Asian actors themselves? Are
No,
they telling them, hey,
I
listen,
think it's
we
cultural.
would not do this, so
I think it's cultural. I think it's
okay.
cultural. So I'm not,
Yeah.
angry. I'm
So in
like,
that
you gotta
sense, you
change
gotta
it.
yeah, you
I'm just saying,
gotta
I'm disappointed, a little disappointed. I went a little.
and it's Marvel too, Marvel's not gonna have a whole lot of that, they get a little bit sometimes, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Tony and yeah. Okay. Okay. If you say so. Anyway, so this movie hasn't come out yet. Let me just read the title of this story. Taryn
okay.
Manning, you know who Taryn Manning is, right?
No idea.
Okay,
No.
she usually this is terrible to say, but she usually plays either like the airhead or white trash in The Orange is the New Black. She was like the trailer trash girl with her teeth all busted out and
Oh
um
yeah.
yes, okay, Taryn
Okay.
Manning.
Okay.
So Taryn
Yeah.
Manning reveals she was attacked by white women for her Karen movie. So if you haven't heard about this Karen movie, the BET movie starring Taryn Manning, who pulls out the stops to rid her neighborhood of a peaceful African American couple who just moved in next door. So
Oh
basically, she's
wow.
going to harass
Haven't
them.
heard it.
That's why it's called Karen. Oh, I saw a
Mm.
preview for it, and I was like, oh no, here we go. I was like, first, I was like, I was upset because
You
I
know
thought
what's
that
interesting about that is
what
she I could see her being a good candidate. I could see like her just oh man,
she's a good
this is gonna be
actress.
interesting.
I don't know
She
about
is.
I don't know anything about her personality. I've never really seen any live interviews with her or anything.
Right.
But like her characters, I believe her characters.
Right. That's what
I
I'm saying. I
and
think
she
she's gonna
and she
do
says,
a good job, so much that you're gonna be like, oh man, I hate her.
yeah, I hate her. She she says that she gets that a lot for her characters. That people
hmm
come up to her and treat her like her character. She's like, I'm the actress. She's
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a sign that you're a good character actor. Benicio del Toro and some of the, I think it's some of those other actors who, they do such a good job with a character that you're like, oh, I hate your guts when you see him on the street.
Yeah, and just based off previews, white women do not like this movie.
Already, they're like,
She
this
said
is
she got messages of betrayal.
really.
They feel
I mean,
betrayed. I'm like,
I-
why is this hit a sore spot
it's
for
a movie.
you?
Well,
Does it?
number one, it's a movie, but you got to remember it's a movie, right? So it's like when you see, Al Pacino playing a gangster, do you think he's really a gangster? No, he's
Al
playing a
Pacino?
he's playing a
Yes,
character.
absolutely. I think he's been in the mob the whole time, and this acting thing is just a facade.
It's just a cover. It's just a
It's just a
cover. I'm not
cover.
really in the mob. It's just movies. Wink, wink. It's like, yeah, that's crazy to me that they would go to that extreme and say that she's a traitor. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a character. She's playing a character,
Anyway,
and if you
that comes out September 14th on
September
BET of
14th
all platforms.
on on B, oh, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
Kendall is. I'm here in California with Kendall right now, and so she can hear me doing the show, and she's texting me violently. She's like, "It's Shang. It's supposed to be
Oh,
a romance."
oh,
See,
romance with no kissing, huh? Interesting.
romance with no kiss, and I was. Oh, but the other thing I was going to say about it is, but they do have some really strong female leads. Michelle Yeoh is a
Oh,
freaking
Michelle
legend.
Yeoh's in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then her first time acting debut, the sister, I don't know her name because she's not famous and I just don't
You
remember her
said
name.
the sister.
But the sister is badass and a pretty good little actress. But it was a good
Interesting.
movie all around.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Well,
Okay. Go see
I
Karen,
will.
go see Shang-Chi.
Yes, I will definitely go see
Shang-Chi.
it. Shang-Chi. I
Oh,
will definitely see
Legend of
it.
the Ten
I'm a
Rings.
Marvel fan, so I was planning to. I was going to get around to it. I'll just have to make sure I get around to it a little sooner than later.
I'll go see it with you again.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
And then we can get tacos.
That's funny.
Y'all tell him
Tacos.
that he should give me my bonus in tacos, and that he has to be
I
willing to
mean,
eat
I'm not
tacos with me.
opposed because tacos will be less than money, so
Viva tacos.
I'll spend less money on tacos than I will on an actual bonus. So I'm all for
Okay,
it.
so here is the follow-up story that you really wanted, right? Let me
No,
read.
no, no,
Let
no,
me
no,
read
no.
the title for you. Lil Uzi.
No, we're gonna skip that one.
Oh, okay.
Time is getting away from us.
Oh, okay. We
We have
having a
more
good time.
important things than that
It's
for
because I
now.
missed you.
Oh, well, you'll be back soon, aren't you? Sunday, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
even sooner, since you don't have to wait on
No, we're gonna celebrate
your ride.
Sadie's birthday.
Who?
Sadie's birthday.
I thought it passed already.
No, it's coming up. She's
Oh,
on the 15th and JJ's on the 10th.
oh.
So we were thinking of going
JJ.
to a winery and acting up.
Oh, okay. Not with JJ though.
No, JJ.
I'm like, JJ is a child.
He's a baby.
All right, I wouldn't recommend that.
Although,
All right, let's
maybe
jump into
tomorrow. Sorry.
our actual stories. Gossip's
Okay,
out of the way.
let's do this.
Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof
Mm.
had his death penalty sentence upheld by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. As you may remember, Dylan Roof is the white nationalist who shot and killed 9 African Americans as they worshipped at a church in South Carolina. Um, he was subsequently arrested, taken to Burger King, and was eventually convicted and sentenced to death. Well, he was appealing that sentence. And again, the
On
Fourth
what
Circuit.
grounds? On what grounds was he appealing it?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there
Okay,
because it's
sorry, I'm
interesting.
angry. I'm angry. They don't
It's
already
interesting.
riled me up.
So his attorneys argued that he should not have been allowed to represent himself during the sentencing phase. Um, they argued that his conviction and sentence should be vacated and that he should have been remanded. His case should be remanded so that he could have a quote unquote proper competency evaluation. So, a competency evaluation means that you can appreciate the charges against you and that you can assist your client, assist your attorney with
In your defense.
your defense. And so,
Okay.
in layman's terms, that you are not crazy at the time of the trial and you can help your attorney. Now, the flip side of that is, at the time, U.S. District Court Judge Richard Gergel held 2 competency hearings for Ruth, one before the trial started and one before the sentencing phase, which Ruth opted to represent himself at the sentencing phase.
After he
Now,
had been found competent the first time, he
after he'd
opted
been
to
found
represent
competent,
himself.
all
Okay,
right,
I just
and
want to make sure I have
convicted.
all the details.
Um, Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. At the sentencing phase, he didn't argue for the jury to spare his life. Instead, his argument was, quote, anyone who hates anything in their mind has a good reason for it.
Hold on.
Let that marinate. Let that marinate. So, in other words, if I hate someone, which in this case, i.e., black people, then I'm justified in then attacking that thing that I hate.
Okay.
His attorneys argued that this was inflammatory. This wasn't a defense, and it basically, typically when you're having when you're
How
dealing
does he
with
have attorneys at this point? Isn't he now pro tem?
no, so he's now, I'm assuming, realized the error of his ways, and so for the
Okay.
appeal, they appointed other attorneys, and he decided to let them do their thing, and so their argument is kind of like the thing speaks for itself. The ridiculous argument that he made speaks for the fact that he shouldn't have been allowed to represent himself. The panel of judges said, "Nah, son, He ain't buying that.
Let this
and
dude
upheld it.
ride the lightning.
Well, and that's kind of part two, is whether or not he will actually be executed. And here's why. Um, at the time, the Solicitor General said that they were confident that he would have been executed because at the time, previously, Trump was in office and Trump had actually reinstated the federal execution program that had been halted under the Democratic president before him. Biden hasn't actually weighed in on it. What he said is he has expressed, quote, grave concerns about federal executions. And so it kind of remains to be seen if he will actually be executed anyway. He can appeal to the Supreme Court, which, again, you have a conservative court. I don't see them saying, nah, don't fry him, because, it's just conservatives generally support the death penalty. And so he's kind of running out of options. But again, this could all be nixed if Biden does away with federal executions, and he'll just, at that point, spend the rest of his life in prison.
I am not a fan of the death penalty, but there are, at least not being willy-nilly or any case where there's any doubt or appeals not being exhausted. But this is like one damn near open and shut case. Like, we know
you're like, if it's ever going to be used, this is it.
Right.
Is that how you feel?
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, this is the time. You want to fry somebody. This would be you want to use the death penalty as an incentive not to commit this specific crime. Fry this guy. Fry this guy.
And in fact, in looking at the research for this particular, for this story, the appeals court, it's part of their decision, kind of went in on him. And they said that, his actions, what you just said, if, his actions, if there's any actions that rise to, deserving the death penalty, it's what he did. It's the panel said that his actions sought not only to terrorize the people in that church, but terrorize Black people in general. Anyone that looks like the people that he attacked, and so they were rather harsh.
What's
in their rejection of his appeal.
So what's crazy to me is that, once again, this is an issue. How can this be an issue? We have irrefutable proof of what happened. Like, and in this day and age, if he had drowned a bag of kittens, he'd probably be getting a chair already.
Right.
That just shows you what a priority we aren't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's part of it is the system. People are entitled to their appeals, and he's kind of getting down to the end here. He's running out, and so we'll see. I don't have any doubt that his appeals will be rejected. The only question I have is, legally, is whether or not he will be executed, because again, Biden, prior to taking office, had expressed that he did not support the federal execution program, and now that he's in office, he hasn't said anything. But
if they do away with it, I'm fine, because I'd rather not have people killed on accident than have people killed on purpose.
Right, innocent people, yeah.
But if you're gonna do a guy, I'm just saying, I got a guy.
But if there's anyone who fits the profile, tis him.
I'm getting back to where I am saturated with the hypocrisy and the white supremacy that's in this country. Like, I watch a lot of indigenous TikTok. and I'm learning more about my history as an African American, and it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah. And that's why
I know that's a totally different subject, and I'll get into it with my therapist on Thursday. But I'm just saying, it's been a week.
Yeah, like I have an outlet. Don't worry.
One of the saddest things I saw on TikTok was a Black man, and he's pretty active in the Black community. But it was him discovering genocide and reservation schools and like the truth about indigenous history, and like just to see his heartbreak, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to somebody else too, and how terrible it was. And he's like, some of the history in this country is worse than the Holocaust.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. It definitely, yeah,
Okay,
makes you
before I
question a
put
lot.
you into a therapy session, let's go ahead and move on.
All right. You're tuned in to Flag on the Play on Hot 7025 FM. Go like our Facebook page at CC Flag on the Play, and then go on over and follow us on Instagram at Flag on the Play LV. This next story is a little more lighthearted, and I definitely want to get your opinion on it. Chicago newlyweds posted a $240 bill to no-show guest, and that sparked a huge online debate. So, Deborah and Doug Simmons have garnered international attention after they showed an invoice for guests that no-showed to their wedding.
They showed it, or one of the guests showed it?
No, they showed it.
Oh, okay.
The couple was recently married.
What you're saying?
Well, we'll get to that. They were recently married in Negril, Jamaica, and 101 of the expected 109 guests showed up to celebrate their nuptials. First of all, 109 people showed up to your destination wedding. Y'all got some good friends. Because, man, listen, I went to April. I went to a destination wedding, and shit, I don't know. It might have been 20 people. So they got 101 to show up out of 109. That's pretty good.
Anyway, another note, if you're having a destination wedding, invite me. I'll go.
Okay. Keep that in mind. The 8 scallywags that did not show repeatedly had repeatedly RSVP'd, but ultimately just didn't make it.
I'm coming.
Right. Naturally, the couple had already paid the Royalton Negril Resort and Spa roughly $120 per person in advance, so they had to take the loss of about $960 and move on. But when they got home, they said, we're not just going to take this lying down. So they created the invoice that has now gone viral, and they shared it. They did not, and this is the part that's, I didn't know. They didn't actually send it out to the people. They just shared it and just kind of, voiced their frustration that people would RSVP and not show up. While the invoice was met with overwhelming support from most people around the world, there were some people who referred to it as tacky and broke behavior. But again, I think, hold on. I think those people didn't realize that it wasn't actually sent out. So here's the question.
Even if it was sent out. No, you don't mean
Let me get to the question. Should people be able to send an invoice if you RSVP and don't show? What are your thoughts?
I think it's at your discretion. I think if you spend more than, let's just say 80 per person, then you should be able to invoice them, especially if you, first of all, have a destination wedding. Second of all, sent multiple RSVPs. But I'm talking to my people, Black people. Stop saying you don't show up when you're not going to show up. All they do is show you how much money you pulled out of their pocket. As for broke behavior, baby, don't start, because rich people don't spend money like that.
Right. 100. They paid for 109 people in Jamaica. $120 per person for 109 people. You do the math. That's not broke. That's not broke.
It's not broke behavior to ask for, to let you know how much you inconvenienced to me on my day.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to is. That's a huge inconvenience, right? Like you
send it out. I think that was some nice shade, because I would have likely done the same thing. You know how much all these places cost me each one.
Right.
And those of you that didn't show up, she didn't tag you. She
just said exactly. They subbed them. Listen, you know who you are, who deserves this invoice. We're just gonna leave it at that. You know what I mean? And so I think when I first heard the story, I thought they had actually sent it. And so I said, okay, that's a little tacky. But when I learned that they didn't actually send it, I said, okay, then that's fine. I feel like this. The lawyer in me is all about notice, and so I think if you do an RSVP and you explain to people, listen, if you do not show, I may invoice you for the money that I've lost. Absolutely, go ahead and send it.
That is
Now,
why
if
you
you
my friend.
didn't
Next time I get married, I'm gonna make sure that you do the RSVP.
do it, right, put in the small print. Now, if you didn't do that, then I think, you might have to just take that L. But if you let them know in advance, listen, I'm sending you this RSVP. If you don't make it, I'm charging you for it. And then at that point, you can't say, "Oh, this is some bull." Well, I told you up front. I told you up front what the get down was.
I'm still mad about that broke behavior comment because
Yeah, I was like,
you
ooh,
can't be
yeah,
in my pocket talking about I have broke behavior. Get
yeah.
out my
For a
pocket.
destination wedding with 100. Listen, that was just
Let me do the math on
the
that.
eat. Right, that's just the eat. That's not counting what they spent for
I
the
can't even get my
venue,
phone
what they
open.
spent for the flowers, what they spent. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money. So yeah, no, that's kind of the opposite of broke behavior.
Exactly.
Now, this next story, I definitely want your opinion. I'm curious to hear what you had to say
Listen,
about this.
this
Um,
next story, I
Jill
would love
Scott,
to know what we're doing because I didn't have that last story on my
did I
outline.
go out of order? Oh, no, I thought you
You
did.
just
You
put a
did.
whole story in there.
It's on there. It's on
Okay.
there.
It's not, but okay.
Jill Scott dropped a gem regarding dating while on the Breakfast Club, and
Because
it
she
made me
always
realize some
does.
things about myself. She
Oh,
does, and
really? Please,
and
please.
and that's actually part of the build up. Jill Scott is always a wonderful interviewee, always very straightforward, very engaging personality,
Generally profound.
and profound. And so she
Goddess
was on
status,
the
I would say.
you know, so while she's on the Breakfast Club, they were discussing dating, and I think they got into do regular guys approach you? And she says, yeah, I don't discriminate. Regular guys. It's all about the person, and so she talked about the person and their presence and whether or not they want her for her. And then one of the things that she said this, and it stuck.
I
It
have heard
stuck,
it, so I'm
and
just
it
gonna start
resonated
clapping
with
now.
me. She said that if a man can tell her what to do, then he can tell her what to do. And if you can't tell her what to do, then you can't tell her what to do. And I was like, oh my goodness. Um, and so my question to you is, what are your thoughts about that? Like,
Okay, so
do you
this
ascribe to that? Do you apply it in
wholeheartedly
your
because
relationships?
listen, it so applies to my relationships, and I am so this is so me. I am submissive by nature, but there's a part of me that grew up in a strong black household and grew up to be a Marine. So that I can also be very dominant.
Okay.
When she says, if you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do.
Right.
If you can't, you can't. And it is so true. Okay, so I don't know. I'm sitting in his house, so I feel bad talking shit about him, but it's not talking shit about him. It's
Don't get
because
kicked out now. Don't get kicked out.
right. Okay, so you two of my ex-husbands are the perfect example. When I was married to Mac, it's not that he could not tell me what to do, it's that he did not tell me what to do. Because he
Okay.
is a nurturer, he is a giver, he is a spoiler, he treats his women like gold. I still get treated like gold, and we're divorced.
Gotcha.
On the other hand, when I married you, I can't tell you what to do. And you certainly tell me what to do all the time. Like at this point, I'm just used to it. Like people look at me crazy sometimes because they're like, why? And I'm like, it is what it is at this point. And it's okay. It's okay because I trust you and you're a good man. You're not gonna lead me any astray. So I'm good with that. But the difference between our relationships, like you can't contemplate mine and Mac's relationship. You just don't understand how I can be dominant to anybody. And he can't understand how I could let somebody walk all over me the way that you could if you wanted to. He doesn't get it. So yeah, when Jill says, if you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do.
It
Like,
resonated, huh?
I almost can't even say it any other way now. Like that is so firmly fixed in my brain because it's
Right.
so true.
Yeah, when
And
she said it, I was
honestly,
like,
I'm not
oh,
sure what I prefer.
it definitely resonated with me because like when I thought about my relationships, I think that's a key component is I have a very strong personality. And so you have to be able to stand up to me. You have to be able to push back. And if you can't, then you're probably going to have some problems. And I, I think about, I dated someone and she's probably one of the people that I had the most respect for in a relationship. And I remember this one incident where a friend of our, a mutual, well, more of a friend of mine, but we kind of ran in the same circle, had her house had been broken into. And I
Oh,
guess
I
we
know who you're
lived
talking
close.
about. I know who you're talking about. I freaking love her. I love her. She is amazing. And no, you can't tell her what to do.
All right. And so, anyway, and so I guess we lived close. And so she wanted me to come and kind of like hang out with her because, she was a little shaken. And so I left my phone. I was hanging out with my girlfriend, left my phone at home. So I didn't see any messages till I got home. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, no problem. And so I call her and I say, hey, so and so's house is broken into. She's a little shaken. I'm going to go and check on her. She said, no, the fuck you not. And I said, well, why not? So and so had asked. And she said, well, tell her to send her husband over there because you're not going. And I was like, okay. And so I didn't go.
And I heard all that in her voice because you are so right. You are so right. And listen, and as much of a community type person as I am, I know her well enough to know that she knows the other girl well enough to know that in that vulnerable state, she might have tried to pull some all okie doke on you.
Yeah,
And we
and that's
wasn't
what she
gonna
said
have that.
later. She was like, I know that she had bad intentions, and so no, you wasn't going.
Mm,
And
mm,
so yeah, like
mm.
I know, but I know that about myself. I know that, and I think that's why traditionally I do date strong women. Like I just don't really
And
date.
what were you doing with me?
Oh, stop it. And I think part of that's because, like how I was raised. My mom is one of 15 kids. My dad's one of,
She's super
several
strong.
siblings. Right. So like our family is very, ain't no punks, it's a family, you know what I mean? You gotta have some thick skin. We go to family reunions and you're gonna get talked about, you're gonna get some jokes cracked on, you know what I mean? And so that's just how we are. We're just tough people. And so
Mhm.
I think that's why like I'm drawn to that. My mom's a strong woman, and so I'm drawn to that. And so when I heard that, I was like, damn, like that, yeah, like that definitely resonates. Like you have to be able to, and if you can't, then you can't. And I'm and I'll let you know that you can't. And I'll probably do it in a nice way, but I'll let you know that you can't. And so I think I think that's important that people be able to recognize that in relationships. You know what I mean? And be able to respect it. You know what I mean? Like when you find good people that have your best interest, and you'll realize, all right, they're not trying to tell me what to do because they try to control and dominate me. It's because they do generally have your best interest at hand. Kind of like what you were saying with Mac, like he can't understand. Um, and so I think that's the other thing about it that I like is that it's kind of like it speaks to discernment, right? Like I'm not going to let you tell me what to do if I think that exercise poor judgment, don't have my
Carnal.
best,
If I don't
yeah,
respect
don't have my
you,
best interest at
right?
hand. So yeah, I was like Jill Scott as usual, dropping some heat and some knowledge.
Jewels.
Yeah. This last story, man, very sad, very sad. Shocking.
So
Shocking.
I'm smiling because to me he was nothing but good. But if you don't know, Michael K. Williams has passed away. He was found in his home of an apparent drug overdose. There's no foul play suspected. He had a long history with drug abuse. And yeah, we lost a real one. I'm not gonna cry. Okay, so when I was writing this, I was having the hardest time doing this because I wanted to just do a book report. But I think his biggest impact. Okay, so if you don't know who Michael K. Williams is, he's most famous for playing Omar on The Wire.
Yes.
For many of us, it was the first time you saw a masculine gay black man on TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was born in Brooklyn. He was a classically trained actor, as well as a hip hop and African dancer. He used to dance backup for somebody famous, but I can't remember who. So for me, my big roles for him are obviously The Wire. That show was amazing, and you saw so many different diverse characters, but his really stood out in a sea of really great characters. He played.
He gave us. When you go for the, what was it? When you take a shot at the king, you best not miss. I mean, some very quotable lines.
Oh, I forgot that he was in Boardwalk Empire as a
Boardwalk Empire.
And then Lovecraft Country. So Lovecraft. Country.
Yeah.
So I think his biggest contribution to society and to acting is his willingness to portray these non-cis het men. You know what I mean?
What does that mean? Break that down. Break that down.
He was born as a man, non-cis het, heterosexual. So he's willing to play a gay black man on TV, but he never did the stereotypical gay black man like the
in a more realistic way. Let's put it that way, because
he was one of the most gangster characters in The Wire.
Yeah, Omar. Yeah, I was reminded there was a clip the other day, after he passed, of dudes sitting out on the stoop, and Omar's coming, and literally it looks like a scene from an old Western with cats are like running and scattering into their homes to lock their doors because Omar's coming.
Was a bad mamma jamma,
Right.
But it's not. It's his willingness to portray these roles. I think that the stereotypes in Hollywood and in the United States in general kind of prevent us from seeing these guys, and they exist. They exist.
Absolutely.
And he was willing to. Now I don't know his sexual preference. Like I don't think he ever talked about it.
In fact, Tasha Smith, who is Why Did I Get Married? She had a very
loud ass Tasha, loud like I like my jazz cabbage, Tasha.
Right. She had a very heartfelt post this past weekend talking about him. She was probably his most famous, ex, if you will.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I really liked him for himself and his acting skills. I never really got into his personal life. I was so stunned and in awe of his acting chops.
Right. And
do you think he was typecast? Because
do I think he was typecast? No, I don't think so.
And also, if you get a chance, there is a video of him talking to different versions of himself, characters that he's played, asking each other if he thought he was typecast. They don't come up with an answer, but it's a very interesting to see the different characters that he's played all sitting in a room talking to each other. And he plays all of them because he's freaking brilliant.
Because he's amazing. I would say no. I mean, just think about, I didn't watch Boardwalk Empire, but I did watch The Wire, and I did watch Lovecraft Country. And I mean, those two characters, Omar is this, gangster, grimy dude, who, also
was so loving to his boyfriends.
Right, but but
He was
still,
just trying to make a
aside
life
from
for
that,
himself with what he knew. When
true, but still.
right, he was raised in the hood. On the other
Whereas,
hand, Lovecraft Country,
Lovecraft Country, he was kind of
closeted, first of
ashamed.
all.
Yeah, he was closeted and ashamed. Omar's like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Which, because
Mhm.
what y'all gonna do to me? You know what I mean? I'm Omar.
With
And
that
so
shotgun.
right, and so that was so. No, I think those characters, while there's the similarity in that they were both, masculine, gay black men, that's kind of where the similarities ended. You know what I mean? Everything else was about them was very different.
So the
Um,
parallel I'm drawing is that they were unfamiliar characters.
yeah, but I think he was, but that just speaks to his talent, man. You know what I mean? Like he was willing to kind of, because I could only imagine the number of people, actors who read that role and were like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? And
The
he was willing
bravery
to.
that it took.
Right.
That is
He was
what
willing to
that is
do it
what
and throw
also
himself
like.
into it.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know what I
mhm.
mean?
I
And
mean, who else could have done that kind of stuff? Like maybe I don't know. No, I was gonna say with that scar, he made it iconic. You can't. So
yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
Don
Nobody.
Cheadle. Like I'm thinking body type and acting
Nah,
chops. Maybe
nah,
Don Cheadle. No, it couldn't.
nah.
It couldn't have been no pretty boy.
Right, right. And that's he made it.
And
He
that's
made
all they
those
allow into
characters.
Hollywood.
He made those characters his own. He was a great character actor, and I think the bigger issue here is is the drugs. I haven't heard what the drug was, but we've
Yeah.
had
I would
there was.
speculate, but I don't want to mix up DMX and
Yeah, I was
fentanyl.
gonna say that we had DMX and there was the yeah, like
Fentanyl and
the supposedly drug use there. Uh, I mean, what's crazy is what the weekend before, or maybe even that same weekend, there was an actor I wasn't familiar with him, and like three other people that died from fentanyl
hmm.
at a party, and a comedian that
I
was there. She was hospitalized, and so it's
I
like
gotta
they got to get it. Like we got to get a handle on that drug, man,
so
because it's a
I
killer.
part of the problem is like I don't know what fentanyl is. Like what's the street name? It can't be fentanyl because nobody's like, hey, you want one of them fentanyl?
Well,
No, it's gotta be
the
like
problem is the problem is it's not. It's that a lot of times it's laced in things, so you're not going to
oh it's an
do it
additive.
itself. Yeah, or it's used to like cut drugs, and so that's the problem. Is you may not necessarily know, and it does not take a lot of it to kill you. And so, if I don't know what's in this product and I'm using way more than I need to, boom, there you go, you're dead. And so, um,
Ooh,
I mean,
I
maybe
can't mess
that's
with those
the
kind of drugs.
yeah,
I can't. I'm gonna stick to my
yeah.
jazz cabbage. And if they add too much to it at the dispensary, I'm unhappy then too. Don't let me find somebody
Right.
who farms organic.
So maybe that'll be the only positive that comes out of this is he's such a say he was such a large figure that
Beloved.
maybe this will bring attention to to the the drug use and something will be done. So, but
I
yes,
don't
rest
have
in
high
peace
hopes
to a
for that.
true yeah,
Absolutely.
to a true legend. Well, we hate to end on a
Gone too
sad
soon.
note, but that is our show for the week. Thank you for riding with Courtney and Courtney on Flag on the Play.
Smooches.